Yeah, so I'll go ahead and get started now. Thank you all for coming. Really appreciate you being here and happy to have everyone come into the webinar today. Today we're going to be covering Division III athletics. So we got a couple people in here going into introductions. My name is Max Buchanugan. I'm an admission counselor here, former D3 athlete at PLU. I played football here for 5 years. And now that I'm in this position, I help coaching a little bit with the team now, which is definitely a really cool experience. Turning it over to you, Kennedy, let you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Kennedy Carla. I'm the Assistant Athletic Director and SWA here at PLU. I'm a former track and field student athlete as well.
Coach Kev?
Hello, I'm Kevin Aoki, the head women's volleyball coach, 1984 graduate of PLU, and I just finished my 29th year as the head volleyball coach.
And Coach Lee.
Hey everybody, my name is Lee A. Duddle. I'm the head women's basketball coach. Just finished my third season here at PLU.
So before moving on to just everyone, one thing that you maybe enjoy about D3 athletics, favorite aspect of it, something that you kind of value as a part of D3, going first for me, I guess. From the perspective of a former D3 student athlete, I think something that I really appreciated was kind of the balance that I was able to build as a student athlete. There's a really good understanding, I think, at PLU and across all D3 athletics of, you're going to school to get an education first. You don't necessarily have to play the sport like it's going to be your job every single day. So the balance that I was able to build as a D3 student athlete is something I definitely really appreciated. Kennedy?
Yeah, I think on that, the care that I've seen, I was Division I student athlete. My sister was a Division II and Division I student athlete, and my brother was a Division III student athlete. So the recruiting experience and just the coaches and the care that they had and the difference that I experienced and some of my teammates has just been different worlds. The coaches genuinely do care about the process and the development of those students in a way that just isn't possible at a Division I school. So that's the biggest thing is the care. It's been amazing to see.
Coach Lee?
There's something that we call a D3 kid. And what I love about coaching this level is the type of student athletes that I get to coach. And I'll touch a little bit more on that later, what a D3 kid means to us, but I get to coach the most incredible young women.
Coach Kev?
I think the student athlete experience is number one is being a student and an athlete and being able to blend those two things in a great atmosphere. I think is the biggest takeaway for me, and seeing the student athlete progress through their 4 years of participation in athletics.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for answering that first initial question. Hopefully that gives you all a little bit of perspective before we get kind of into some of these slides. So the agenda for today, some things that we'll be going over, just a general overview of D3 athletics, the athletic commitment of an athlete at this level and kind of what that looks like for them. Then we'll go into the admission process, what that looks like for a student athlete, maybe versus a general student applying to a D3 school. And then we'll, again, at the end, touch a little bit on the value of D3 athletics for students that are at this level as well. So going into an overview, Kennedy, I'll turn it over to you to cover these two slides.
Yeah, so my role here at PLU is NCAA compliance, just for some background there. And I'm just going to talk about the differences between Division I, Division II, Division III, but really focusing on what I think makes D3 different and special. One thing that people really don't know is the majority of all NCAA schools are actually Division III, meaning that most student athletes at a collegiate level are Division III student athletes. That may not seem obvious through the media or anything like that, but that's usually a shock to people. And the biggest difference is we're looking for more of a well-rounded college experience. If you can see, if it looks like it, I'm in a dorm right now. I just did a TA interview for some student athletes. I teach a class, and this young woman, she's on the lacrosse team. She's captain of the chemistry club. She's a TA for chem. She's studying abroad next fall. And that's what you see with these D3 student athletes. They're able to do all these things. They're just so impressive. So it really is that focus on academics, but also growth. And then again, number of schools, 440 schools are in the Division III NCAA part of athletics, which is huge. Tons of student athletes are going this route. It's not what people think it is. I'll just say it frankly like that. Another thing, scholarships are not allowed for athletically based achievements, meaning coaches can't say, hey, I really want you on my team. I'm going to give you a full ride. That's just not something that's going to happen at the D3 level. It's not allowed for any school. It doesn't matter. To put my compliance hat on, it doesn't even matter if it's an outside entity. So a nonprofit can't say, hey, you know, we love this basketball player. We want to pay for her to go to PLU. If it's based off of her athletic achievement, it's still not allowed. However, I know Max is going to talk about this a little bit. There is plenty of opportunity for need-based scholarships. And the students that deserve to be here and want to be here and have worked hard to be here, D3 schools are finding a way to get them into the school. So don't worry about that. And then one thing I want to be very, very clear on, this is still highly competitive. No more than 2% of all high school student athletes even go to the NCAA collegiate level. So it's still the upper echelon of all student athletes. Most people are not making it this far. It is very high competition.
And I did forget to mention as well, we have a Q&A section for any of our participants here that are having questions. The Q&A section is there. We'll be answering questions as we go through some of this stuff. So feel free, as we're talking, if you have any questions to ask those in the Q&A.
Drop them in. And then, so biggest difference that makes D3 special is the time commitment. It's more balanced. Myself, I was a D1 student athlete. There was no world where I could tell my coach, oh, I want to go to chem club. I'm not coming to practice. It just wasn't happening. In Division III, we do honor those things within reason, obviously, but if something is very important to you, if you're a nursing student, studying abroad is huge here, that time commitment can be used in different ways. Like I think, Max, you said it, it's not your job. It's not your full-time job where that's all you do. It's all you are. You really are able to use your time. Another way that you're able to excel in your studies and just here on campus is travel is mainly regional. If you guys are following D1 sports right now, you know the conferences are all messed up. Everybody's flying across the country. Our conference is very regional and our national travel. Our biggest thing is keeping that travel down. Missed class time is the biggest thing we look at when we are creating athletic schedules here. That is very, very important. We don't just say, oh, well, you know, they can miss Thursday, Friday. The biggest thing is about missed class time. So we are in the Northwest Conference. So that is all Washington and Oregon schools right now. So again, we don't just want you going out to California, then to Texas and just missing class after class after class. And then the last thing, so that academic support is huge here. We have great support here at PLU in general, and our athletes are able to use that, whether it be NAC, our tutoring, our coaches are great. Their teammates are a wonderful, wonderful resource. If you're on a team, one of your upperclassmen, they probably took that class. Our team has a great way of just bringing people together, keeping each other accountable. A lot of our students, they just kind of grow up to what their coaches and what their older student athletes and teammates are, you know, leading to, but they're able to really be supported here. And again, that comes first. You can ask any coach here at PLU and almost any coach in D3, academics comes first. They will never be sacrificed.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kennedy. So going on to the admission process, I'll be talking about this a little bit, as well as the scholarships, like Kennedy said. Definitely a great opportunity to earn scholarships, even outside of maybe not having those athletic scholarships. So for a student athlete, the admission process when applying to a university is going to be the same as any non-student athlete that's also going to be applying. So they're going to follow the same application process. We require the same materials. Everything about the application process is going to be the same. Athletics specifically is just weighed in consideration in those applications differently from school to school. So some may look at a student's athletic achievement as a form of like leadership, obviously a great form of involvement. That stuff is just weighed differently and taken into consideration in the application process, a little bit differently school to school when you're looking at it that way. At the D3 level, like Kennedy was saying, academics is extremely important to all the schools. So academics is still going to be the biggest factor in an application for a student. It's going to be taken into greater consideration in that application review process. Um, and obviously, with that sort of academic commitment that a student has, the GPA is going to greatly impact their ability to get something like a merit scholarship. Oftentimes, the higher the GPA is, the more money that they could potentially earn. So, GPA academics extremely important at a D3 school. Offices on campus will still work together to know who a recruited student athlete is versus a student that has maybe a general interest in athletics stated on their application. That stuff is definitely really important to make sure that coaches know who's applying, who their recruited students are, how many students they have that are interested in that specific sport. So we will collaborate as a university. Inter-office collaboration happens all the time with those student athletes. Scholarships. So two types of scholarships potentially available to students are going to be merit and need-based. Academic scholarships are going to be extremely big, and most of the time students are going to be able to get those. The higher the GPA is with those academic scholarships, the more money potentially a student can earn. We don't have athletic scholarships like Kennedy was saying, but other merit-based scholarships could be pertaining to music, theater, volunteer hours that a student has accumulated. So obviously it is always good to look and see what schools have in terms of their merit-based scholarships, potentially what some students could be applying for. There are usually going to be a lot of other options. I know PLU has a very broad range of scholarships that we offer to students on the basis of merit. So definitely a good opportunity to earn aid based on some of the involvement that a student may want to do or has been involved in the past. Some schools will have things like alumni scholarships. So things like an alumni referral scholarship where an alumni can state their relationship with an applying student to potentially get them a scholarship, or something like a scholarship for a student that is the dependent of an alumni. Those can also sometimes be available as well. So always good to state if that is the case on a student's application, obviously if their parents are an alumni, but there are potentially some other scholarships that they could get on that basis as well. Most schools may provide a visit scholarship. Obviously going to visit a school is always good at helping informing a student whether that school is the right fit, and oftentimes schools will try to reward a student's effort to get out to campus. So there could be something there for that. It's always good to encourage students to know what is there in terms of a visit scholarship if that is the case. Going into need-based aid, so essentially anything that is based on the FAFSA, there can be a lot available. So obviously federal aid, things like the federal Pell Grant, the SEOG grant, anything like that could potentially be available. The amount and kind of the bracket where students can qualify for that may change every year, but filling out the FAFSA is always going to be a good idea. There's always a chance that a student gets something. State aid can vary depending on where a student is from. So obviously taking Washington as an example, students that stay in state have access to something like the Washington State Opportunity or the Washington State College Grant, or something like the Supporting Success Scholarship are two examples for Washington State. Each state is going to be a little bit different in terms of what may be available, but if a student is staying in their home state for college, there may be some extra aid potentially that they're able to get by filling out the FAFSA. On the basis of need, certain institutions may have specific scholarships that they can award as well. So certain restricted scholarships or grant on the basis of financial need, there may be something that a school can actually do to help out in terms of financial need for a student as well. So filling out the FAFSA, seeing if you're eligible for need-based aid, whether you do or don't know, there's always something that's going to be available to a student, whether it is a scholarship, a grant, self-help aid, anything like that. Filling out the FAFSA is always going to be a good idea for a student. Going to you, Coach Lee, can you just touch on the value of D3 athletics?
Yeah, I would love to. So I've been the head coach here for 3 years. But my past history was 10 years spent at the Division I level. And when I talked previously in my intro about the D3 student, there is typically something that sets them apart, and that often has to do with obviously their academic success, but also often their ambition. When I talk about a D3 kid, when I'm recruiting somebody, this is somebody who comes in with a vision for their future. They don't always know specifically what career that's going to be, but they take their athletics seriously and they take their academics seriously. And when we find a recruit like that, that's kind of what we call a D3 kid. When we talk about student opportunities, Kennedy touched on a little bit of, at the Division I level, it is a full-time job just about 12 months out of the year. At our level, it is designed to allow students to be students while competing in their sport. And so I'm going to give you an example of one of my recent graduates. She started off as a basketball player at a Division II school and then transferred here to PLU. When she was a part of our team, she was a starter on our team. She also played on the golf team. She was also a leader of FCA. She also was employed in our athletic administration office, and was just somebody who was involved in campus in so many different ways. And that is the best of what Division III has to offer. You can leave your practice and head to the Hawaiian Student Club to practice for the upcoming luau, which is something that my student athletes are doing currently. And so when you attend a Division III school, there is going to be emphasis put on, yes, we want you to excel on the court, on the field, but we also want you to have a rich and holistic experience as a student, enjoying the things that college is designed for. I want to touch on one other thing before I talk about like-minded competitors. And as we have lots of conversations, as coaches, we have lots of conversations with young people looking to play college athletics. There's often a misnomer about Division III that, oh, well, they don't give athletic scholarships, so I'm going to have to, pay all of this money, whereas I could get a scholarship somewhere else. And although other divisions, Division I, Division II, NAIA, junior college, can give scholarships for athletic reasons, only Division I scholarships, and this is different in different sports, but only Division I scholarships are really full scholarships. Most scholarships that student athletes receive are small scholarships, partial scholarships. And so people start to believe that Division III is going to be exponentially more expensive than any other scholarship offer they can get, even if that athletic scholarship offer is $1,000 or $2,000. And so we fight this battle a lot, saying, hey, let's go through the process. What we hope to do is to say, we're going to get it as close as possible. And we want you to choose PLU because it makes sense, because it's where you want to be, and it's what's going to set you up for your future success. So lastly, talking about like-minded competitors, there's a phrase that I love that is, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And we talk about this because when you come to a place like PLU, a Division III institution, you are going to be surrounded by other people who are intent on what their future looks like. I have an upcoming senior on my team who plans to go to dental school, and she has had that vision since the day she stepped on our campus, and she works towards it. But she's also surrounded by people who other people who have big vision for their future, and so it creates an environment where success is not optional. It is what everybody around you is doing. But also, Kennedy mentioned this is a highly competitive level. Although in name we are the Division III out of 3, levels, it is high level basketball or X sport competing against other high level athletes. And so this level is something that we as coaches we're D3 people because there is a uniqueness about this level that isn't really replicated anywhere else. And so it's a really unique opportunity that we want more people to have the understanding is reachable, is attainable, but is also highly competitive.
Thank you, Coach Lee. That's awesome. Um, Coach Kev, going over to you. Can you talk about the value of D3 athletics?
Well, in listening to Lee, I think, for example, on my team, I have 5 nursing majors. And if most of you know, nursing is not an easy road. A lot of colleges won't allow you to play athletics and major in nursing. So they go to 4 years and they graduate and then they go to nursing school. We make it an important part of their college experience by working with the nursing program, working with our student athletes that make them be able to do that major. So at times, that means if they got clinical on a Thursday, guess what? They go to clinicals and they might have to miss practice. That's the way it goes. But I think we work hand in hand with that. And a school like ours allows them to major in nursing and also play the sport that they love. And you will find amongst our teams, we have a lot of nursing majors. It's one of the focal points of our school. So we make it work. As far as potential athletes, how they can prepare, number one is, I like to say it in so many terms, but bluntly, study more, play less, because the money available for high GPAs is incredible. And if they can learn that at a young age, freshman year, the money available for academics is huge. And that's guaranteed, as opposed to, I'm an athlete, I'm going to wait around for my college athletic scholarship that I might get an offer. If you have good, outstanding grades, you can go to a number of schools where you can get maybe a partial athletic scholarship and an academic scholarship. Obviously, at the D3 level, that means pure academics scholarship. And if people realized how much money they can get for academics, they would understand my saying of study more, play less. Email the coaches. On all our websites, athletic websites, we have a athletic questionnaire. By all means, fill that out, because then that goes directly to the coaches. The coaches then highlight their information, which then gets sent to the admissions office. And now you are in the loop of admissions and your sport team. So that's crucial. I would say email your coaches. I would start probably beginning of your junior year, and then stay in touch, be persistent. I like athletes that answer their emails, answer their texts, and is persistent about being recruited. Don't wait for that coach to notice you at some tournament. You got to be proactive as students. I like students that do it for themselves, not their parents, themselves. And really emphasize the fact that answer the emails, answer the text, because that shows that that person, that student, prospective students, is serious about getting recruited, getting looked at, and follow up.
Thank you, Coach Kev. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, hearing you say that stuff kind of brought back memories of my own experience as a student athlete. Touching just on the financial aid aspect, I don't think I mentioned it, but taking PLU is another example with the academic scholarship. Those academic scholarships that PLU offers are renewable, and they can go all the way up to $32,000. So there is definitely a lot of money that can come from academics. So extremely, extremely important. Touching on my own experience of that sort of balance and the ability to do a lot of things as a student athlete, kind of like everyone else was talking about. The coaches, I think, in my experiences, have always had a really, really good understanding that students at this level can do a lot, and they make it very accessible to do a lot. Like my first year, when our head football coach got to PLU around the same time as me, he actually moved our practices to the mornings. So we would go to meetings, go to practice, do our lifts, and actually be done before the school day started, allowing very little conflict throughout the course of the day. which just allowed all of the student athletes on the football team, everyone that I knew, to do more with the time that they had throughout the course of the day. So definitely a great opportunity to be involved in a lot as a D3 student athlete. So
Excuse me,
going
Max.
to the last
Excuse me,
slide
Max.
here. Yeah,
Max, I want to add one thing. And the
yeah,
one thing is people cannot look at the sticker price. It's like buying a car. If you pay sticker price, you're not doing yourself a service. So look, the sticker price is one thing. Look after academics, academic money, FAFSA, etc., and look at the bottom line. That's what you have to look at, not at the original cost. And some people look at the original cost and they say, oh, it's too expensive. You got to get by that and go through the process.
yeah. Definitely a great point to make. Absolutely. So going on to this last slide here, I just want to encourage Q&A from everyone that is participating. If there are any questions, we're absolutely happy to answer them. In the meantime, while we're waiting, we can just kind of talk a little bit more about it. But I also want to remind everyone that is participating, all the counselors, coaches, anyone that's in the presentation. We do still have another one coming up next week, focusing on the recruitment process itself. So if anyone is interested in that, definitely a great opportunity to get a little bit more perspective on the recruitment process as it pertains to this level of athletics. Yeah. So I guess for coaches, for Kennedy, anything that you'd like to add while we're potentially waiting for some questions to come in?
I'll just touch a little bit on, going back to what Kevin said. It is really important that people understand that the value of a Division III degree is very high. When you look, and this is something we talk about in recruiting, when you look at the top institutions across the country, those institutions are Division Is and Division IIIs. And so this is a level that is sort of mission oriented in a sense of their academic pursuits. And so the value of that degree is very high, but we aid in the sense of financial aid people at a very high level as well to be able to just support their opportunity to come here. And so what Kevin said is right on in the sense of when we're talking to your student athletes, we are talking about, let's walk through the process together. Let's go through the admissions process and let's compare that to maybe the Division II that you're looking at, maybe the state school that you're looking at, maybe the NAIA school that you're looking at, to be able to, at the end of the day, say, hey, we're pretty close, but also here are the things that we can offer you that you may not get at a different institution. And so I chose Division III specifically because when I recruit a young lady, I want to be able to tell her this education is going to change your life. And when I look at the outcomes that we specifically here at PLU produce, if you want to go to a medical school or a dental school, our outcomes are higher than the national average at a big clip. And so I am able to say, this is going to change your life, and I really mean it. And so Division III is just a special level.
Yeah, I agree. Thinking on that too, Kennedy said it, only about 2% of all high school athletes go on to play college athletics at the NCAA level across any level. And I think it's about 2% of all collegiate athletes go on to play professional at any level as well. So athletics is something that for the majority of people is not forever. So in conversations that even I have with students, it is just an aspect that I touch on. I always like to tell students, like, whether it's academics or athletics, it's not going to be your entire time in college. So looking at not only year to year, but that 4-year experience that you get, everything that you're able to do, the outcomes that come from the specific schools that you're looking at, touching on everything, I think is extremely important. And knowing just all of the resources that are available, the things that you're able to do with that degree, and the things that that school can provide for you overall, even outside of athletics, is very important as well. Yes, so no questions in here yet. So gonna go ahead and wrap up the presentation. I want to thank all of the participants for coming today and listening to us talk. I want to thank you, Kennedy, Coach Kev, Coach Lee, all for coming and giving a very valuable perspective on D3 athletics and participating in the presentation today. Thank you all for being here and answering questions and participating. Yeah, gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Hopefully you'll be able to be here next week for the presentation on recruitment. So looking forward to seeing everybody here and thank you for coming. Have a nice day, everybody.